So most importantly, I have to find what you actually qualify for, right? So one thing to keep in mind about me is that I'm not captive. And I don't know if you know what that means, but those would be those agencies like Allstate, State Farm, Farmers, right? So where they have access to about 2 products, I've got access to 100, okay? Big difference between captive agencies and myself is captive agencies like a lot more like employees, whereas my whole goal here today is to find you the best coverage for the best price that we can actually get you approved for, right? I'm totally independent. Okay.
On the same side of the table as you.
I'm on the same, right? I'm on your team, and sometimes I even actually say that. So I'm on Team You, not Team Insurance Company.
Yeah, that's
right?
great.
So,
that's a good. That's another like a buzz phrase.
Yeah.
To get their wall to come down. I'm on your team. I'm on Team You, not Team whatever.
Whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll say exactly that sometimes, and then I start telling them what we're gonna do, right? So this whole process, it's a pretty simple process. There's not a lot to it. There's no blood work, no physicals, nothing crazy like that. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to go spend about 2 minutes on some money questions, 2 minutes on some health questions, and then about 5 minutes shopping around, trying to figure out what actually makes sense for you based on the answers that you give me to my questions, right?
And it doesn't matter how much time it actually takes.
It does not. No, it doesn't matter at all.
But when you tell them, again, this is like a buzzword recording here, so 2 minutes on money questions, 2 minutes on health questions, 5 minutes shopping around to make sure we find you the best product.
Yep.
You could take an hour and they'd be fine with it.
They'd be fine with it.
But you just set that expectation so their guard comes down even further to know this isn't going to take up their whole day. Because everybody's been in a situation where the salesperson just goes on and on and on and on, and it takes 3 hours, and you didn't want it anyway.
Yep.
So setting the table like that in the beginning is really important.
Yeah, and it takes their focus away from how much longer it's going to be to, okay, I already know how long it's going to be, so I can focus on the questions.
Nice, we'll have an answer in 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So people like that. And then you're not doing a physical or anything. That's cool with them too. So, and then I say, no physicals, blah, 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 blah. Well, 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there, 5 minutes here. And then once we find a plan that actually makes sense, what we'll do is go ahead and submit what's called a request for coverage. A request for coverage takes anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks to come back. And what the company's doing in that time is they're going to look at things like your prescription history, your medical background. They want to make sure that no one's trying to take out insurance in your name or anything, or that you can just escape from prison and are hiding down here in Dallas. All right. So once you're approved, though, you're approved. So at that point, they can't take anything away from you, right? They cannot increase premiums. They can't decrease the face amount. You're good to go. And then I follow that up by that. All that makes sense. And then
Makes
every
sense,
time, yeah. All right, perfect. Then financial inventory. All right, great. Now, my understanding is this is a mortgage, right? It's not, you're not renting, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's a mortgage. All right, perfect. 30-year mortgage? 30. And then you just go through the form. Then I ask them the value of the house, and then if I'm planning on equity protection because they're older or they're kind of sick, I ask them the value of their house. Then I ask them if you're going to sell it tomorrow, how much do you think you'd get for it? What would it be appraised for? And they tell me. And then they have equity there. Then I always make sure that I say, all right, so you have some equity. So that's good. That's obviously being a keyword. That's obviously what we want to protect. We want to make sure that God forbid something happened to you, that your wife or child, whoever it is that's left behind, doesn't have to worry about that money being taken away from them, right? So the bank doesn't have to get involved. They're not going to do any repossessions. Your family's going to have peace of mind. A lot of time to make up the decision what they're going to do with the house. They get the equity, not the bank.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Makes sense.
And then we go over the mortgage amount. I mean, literally just follow the financial inventory sheet.
Yeah. We'll do a whole nother recording on equity protection. So then you prep your cases before you go out. Do you have the options written out on the back, or are you doing that at the table?
I do. 99% of the time I do it at the table.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do it at the table. Sometimes I do it beforehand, and there's no. When I first started, I was doing it beforehand, and now I do it more at the table. There's really no reason why I do it one way or the other. I didn't notice a drastic difference. It'd probably honestly be easier, I think, prepping it beforehand. That way, you have everything there. It's a shorter appointment.
I always did that, just going into it, so it looked like I'd done some homework. But also, I could see how when you're doing it in front of them, that's their 5 minutes of shopping. So I could see how that would be effective too. And that was what my mindset was. And I do still sometimes prep it beforehand. And then once we get done with the financial inventory sheet, as long as what I did beforehand jives with the information that they just gave me. Like sometimes you get thrown for a loop where they tell you on the phone that they're perfect, and then all of a sudden they have everything, right? And you kind of have to transition. But as long as I'm still planning on showing them the options that I prep beforehand, then I'll tell them before I show them. I say, all right, so I did a bad thing and I made some assumptions. All right, after you get off the phone,
And so assuming that this is how our conversation was going to go, I did a little bit of digging. I put some things together that I think would make a lot of sense for you. Mm-hmm. And then I flip it over. Then I will present them the options if I did it beforehand. If not, then I say, all right, great. So we got all this stuff. Just give me a few minutes here just to put some things together, find some options that I think would be good for your situation.
Okay.